Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Just want to welcome you to our first asynchronous activity for lesson 1. Now, because the word asynchronous is very difficult to say over and over again, I'm just going to call this our first online activity. And what we're going to do in this activity is I'm going to provide a reflection on our first class from Tuesday night. And then I'll be providing you with a video that gives an overview of the some updates that I've made to the course website, which should help with navigation and clarification on some of the pieces of information that we talked about in our class. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the commenting feature and demonstrate how it works and how you can use it to contribute asynchronously through the website. Also, as we discussed on Tuesday evening, I have created a poll for you to vote on an asynchronous tool that we will be able to use for the purpose of the course. And there's several different options that came out of the result of our breakout sessions. And so that would be an opportunity for you to pick one that you think would be best suited to this course. Then, once you've done that, we'll be moving on to an activity. This is an activity that we were hoping to accomplish in our Tuesday night class, but for the sake of time we weren't able to get to it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to create a digital identity, and there'll be some more information about that on this page a little bit further down. And then we're going to finish off by taking a look at a video and an essential question for the lesson. So this video is kind of in the place of a reading that you might have had to do, and I respect that it's a very busy week, so that's why I've chosen a video as opposed to having a video and a reading. You'll also notice at the bottom of this page that there is some supplemental content that you might be interested in taking a look at to help you go deeper into defining what a web-based learning tool is. So I wanted to take a quick moment to do a little bit of a reflection on our class 1 and talk a little bit of some of the things that we discussed. So the first thing I wanted to do was apologize again for the technological challenges that we experienced in getting started. Hopefully we won't have those happen again. And I want to thank you for your patience with some of the other tech challenges we had going through it. So we'll be working through those throughout the course, and I'm confident that we'll be able to overcome them as we go on. The other thing that I wanted to make note of is that we have a very large diversity of learners. So we have people from K to 12, people from higher education, and people from the public and private sectors, all within different roles. And so I think this is going to really lend itself to a very rich conversation about web-based learning tools. One of the challenges, though, that we will have is, and this started to come up when we were talking about the assignments, is having individuals try to identify where the content for the course or where the discussions that we're having is relevant to their individual situation. So for example, we might talk a little bit about gamification and its use as a web-based learning tool. And if you're working in the private sector, you might not see that as something that is valuable. And so what I'll ask you to do is continue to challenge the group and bring your own perspective into the mix and the discussion, but at the same time think about how the overarching principles of what we're talking about can then be applied to your own context. The other thing that we talked about was the assignments. And I'm not going to get into any detail about individual assignments here, but I do just want to emphasize one important point, and that is the assignments are designed to be meaningful and relevant to your individual context. And I do have, I'm open to and am flexible to having the assignments be revised for individuals, as long as we can still meet the learning outcomes for your ability to demonstrate the understanding of learning tools and also building a web-based learning tool. Those are two essential components of this course that the assignments need to demonstrate. But I do really want to emphasize that the assignments that you do in the course really should be meaningful and relevant, and if you're finding that to be a challenge, then please feel free to come and talk to me. The last thing that I want to talk about was the asynchronous tool discussion. So I was really, pleased and happy with that discussion, and I think it was a really good way to end off the session. Some of the key principles that people brought up were things about accessibility, and that refers to both hardware accessibility. I know the discussion was happening about certain sites like Reddit being blocked, so that's a component of it, but also in terms of knowledge, and so somebody's comfort level also is an element of accessibility, and so the ease of use. So if a tool is easy to use or easy to learn, then people are more likely to adopt it. And I think this also ties into the idea of it being seamless. And so when we're managing our digital lives, we have all these different communication tools that we use on a regular basis. And so to add an additional tool is something I think that can be challenging. And so I really want to avoid that. And this is part of the reason why I started the discussion, so that we can embrace tools that you use on a regular basis. Now, underlying each of those three things, what I did hear in the conversation is that we want the tools to be interactive. And that's something that I think we need to keep in mind when you're voting on which asynchronous tool you think is going to be the most appropriate for your learning in the course. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to take a look at the video below, which talks a little bit about some updates I've made to the course website, and gives you an overview of some of the navigation. Now, if you feel comfortable with the course site and you've had a chance to review it, feel free to skip the video, but it's just something that's been created for you kind of as an archive if you ever need to come back to it. So that's it. Enjoy the online activity, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.